Coming up on the show, we're going to take a closer look at former President Biden's cancer diagnosis and what lessons we can learn from it. Plus, downtown Atlanta will soon welcome something that's a cross between a sports bar and an IMAX theater. And we'll look at how the legacy of one of our former members here at 11Alive is still strong. This is The Take. Let's get it. Hello and welcome to The Take. I'm Chesley McNeil. This is where we go above and beyond the headlines, folks, when we look at the how and why stories are impacting you and your community. We invite the experts in to give their take as well, and we try to have just a little bit of fun as well. Not going to be a fun ride tonight with these storms that will be rolling through our forecast area, folks. We have an 11Alive weather impact alert for you from 9 p.m. until 3 a.m. Wednesday morning. That's when we can see some strong severe thunderstorms push into our forecast area. Some of those thunderstorms will pack some gusty winds. Of course, the heavy rain with the frequent lightning. There could be some hail associated with it as well. There's a low tornado threat. It's not zero, but it is there. Stay active, folks. Make sure the alerts on your phone are active. That's what you need when you go to bed tonight, because if anything happens to turn severe, of course, we'll be here to update you on anything that happens to turn severe. Tomorrow, we'll see things begin to calm back down. We'll get the sunshine back in and hold on to it for the rest of the week. Our temperatures will cool down as well, and then we'll see a return for the rain for the latter half of the Memorial Day weekend. You can find extended weather coverage tonight on 11Live Plus right here. Meteorologist Chris Holcomb will be giving live updates at the top of each hour starting at 7 p.m. You can, if you're watching this right now, you've downloaded that app, and so watch 11Live Plus for all the latest right here. All right, we're continuing to learn more about former President Biden's aggressive form of prostate cancer diagnosis. Here now to talk us through it is Dr. Cecil Bennett with the Noonan Family Medicine. Dr. Bennett, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Doctor, former president is 82 years old, right? And we've been hearing about this aggressive cancer that has now moved to his bones. When you heard this diagnosis, what was your initial take on it?
Well, first of all, my prayer goes out to the Biden families as, he go through this time, considering the fact that his son died of a brain tumor. We all have family members who have had cancer, and we know how difficult it can be. So it was concerning when I heard the diagnosis.
So what was your initial take? I mean, if it's gone to his bones, he's 82 years old now. Is this like a matter of time now that we're looking at?
Well, I think we need to go from the very beginning and how the process works and how he got to this point, if that's okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When patients come into my office, usually it's a husband and wife sitting there, and the wife says, "You just prostate cancer." Mm-hmm. And my response is, well, what's the background of your family? Patient may have a strong family history of prostate cancer. It's important to point out there's no uniformity in how we screen for prostate cancer. My academy, the American Academy of Family Physicians, recommending having a conversation with our patients between the age of 55 and 69 about the benefits and risk of screening for prostate cancer. Mm-hmm. The American Urology Association recommends doing a PSA between the ages of 45 and 69. And there are other societies that don't recommend doing PSA at all unless a person is symptomatic. So it's all over the place. But my practice, I'm very aggressive. I start screening patients from the age of 40, especially African-American men who are more susceptible to having bad outcomes of prostate cancer. Now, what do? Well, the first step we do is do a PSA. We've heard that a lot, of prostatic-specific antigen that looks for certain markers in the bloodstream as to whether or not cancer may be present. Now, the number we look at is 4. Is your PSA higher or lower than 4? But we don't only treat to a number. There are times a PSA of 2 is more concerning than a PSA of 8. Let me explain. Mm-hmm. Patient comes in last year, their PSA was 1. They come in this year, their PSA is 2. Mm-hmm. PSA is still less than 4, but it's doubled in 1 year. That would be a patient we would go on and do further investigation. Patient has an initial PSA of 8, which is greater than 4, but they may have a prostate infection, and that's the reason why their PSA is elevated, not due to cancer. So we treat them with antibiotics and then redo the PSA. But let's say we do a PSA, the PSA is 8, and we're concerned about that number. We go and we do a biopsy of the prostate, which is taking tissues from different sections of the prostate to see whether or not cancer cells are present. This is where you hear that Gleason score. I know we all hear that Gleason score, and basically it's looking at the cells. Are the cells closer to normal? Are they very malignant? The more malignant the cells are, is the higher the Gleason score.
Right.
So a Gleason score of 6 is a low-level, low-grade cancer, not likely to spread, something we can probably watch. A Gleason score of 7, we would have some type of action or treatment for that patient. And a Gleason score of 8, 9, or 10 is very concerning because those cancers are likely to spread to other organs. And we know that President Biden had a Gleason score of 9, which is very concerning. Yeah. Now, after you have the Gleason score, you have to grade the cancer. Is it a low-risk cancer or a high-risk cancer? Grade 1, low-risk cancer. Grade 5, high risk of growing rapidly, aggressively, and metastasizing. Unfortunately, President Biden is at grade 5. Mm-hmm. And finally, we look at the staging of prostate cancer. We have stage 1, where the cancer is contained within the prostate, or we have stage 4, where it's actually spread outside the prostate to other organs like bone. And we know that for President Biden, he's in stage 4. Mm-hmm. So when you look at the Gleason score being very high, look at the grade of the tumor being very high, and the fact that it's in stage 4, it's a very concerning diagnosis.
So what's going to be next for the former president? What would he go through next?
There's no uniform treatment. Luckily, the tumor is hormone sensitive, which means that they can treat it to lower testosterone levels, because testosterone actually feeds the tumor. So I would imagine that would be a first step via IV or injection or by pills. And then they have to decide after that, will they do chemotherapy? President's 82 years old. He has other underlying medical conditions. How aggressive they want to be. Because at this point, it comes down to quality of life. He's 82 years old. Aggressive treatment would take away a lot of his quality of life. So it's really a decision that has to be made by him and his doctors and his family, of course.
Gotcha. Dr. Bennett, really appreciate you being on with us. Appreciate your insight. We may invite you back on again. We still have more questions for you and want to know certainly about what people should do if they have this in their family, or if they're concerned about it, how to get checked and all that. And you gave us some of that insight this morning. We really appreciate you doing that for us.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Don't go anywhere, folks. We're back right after this. All right, welcome back to the show. President Donald Trump expected to meet with the House today. We understand that he just arrived on the Hill. He's grappling with his party about his one big, beautiful budget bill. Joining us now is NBC Washington correspondent Alice Barr, who's been covering politics for years now. And Alice, how serious are these divisions between the Republicans, and could it put this bill in jeopardy?
Yeah, there are some serious philosophical disagreements here. It's a big caucus, and there are both those that are more fiscally conservative who have problems with how all of this new spending is going to be paid for, because this big bill includes increased spending by quite a bit for immigration enforcement, for the military, and then critically, it makes those 2017 Trump tax cuts permanent. So that's all a lot of new spending that needs to be accounted for. And to pay for it, there's an effort to cut some Medicaid and food assistance benefits, among other things. So there are those that are fiscally conservative who think that there's not enough in this to make up for the new expenses. And then there are those that are more moderate and have some concerns about cuts to Medicaid. And in fact, some that are not necessarily moderate, but just have to answer to their constituents, a lot of whom may be in more lower income areas. A lot of rural areas that are in red states and so forth have high Medicaid enrollments, and those could be affected by what's being proposed here. So that's really the biggest issue. Now, as for whether it actually threatens passage, we have President Trump having just arrived on Capitol Hill. We all know how forceful his voice is for the Republican Party, and on Capitol Hill, he really is the one person that everybody looks to. And this is something of a decision really about President Trump's agenda. This is everything that he wants, essentially, in his domestic policy priorities rolled into this one big, beautiful bill, as he loves to call it. So this is an up or down vote for advancing President Trump's agenda. And it's difficult to see House Republicans not finding a way to come together and approve that.
All right. Now, Republicans have scheduled a debate before the Rules Committee for 1 a.m. tomorrow. What's driving that timing?
Yeah, so they have said that they want to just make sure they have as much time as possible to get this debate going and then get to the vote to get this passed out of the Rules Committee. It already passed out of another committee earlier in the week, but it has to get through the Rules Committee before it can make it to the full House floor. And House Speaker Mike Johnson has made a self-imposed deadline to get this whole package passed before the Memorial Day recess. So they want it done by the end of this week. So they're saying they're trying to give themselves as much time as possible. Democrats are pouncing pouncing on this. We heard from Hakeem Jeffries, the top Democrat in the House, saying that he believes Republicans are trying to squeeze this all through in the dead of night and don't want people to actually see, Americans to actually see what is in this package. He says because he thinks that Republicans know that there are a lot of people who are opposed to having millions of people have their health care taken away through those Medicaid cuts that I mentioned.
Gotcha. On another note, President Trump says he's confident that Vladimir Putin wants to end this war, but yet Ukraine remains a little bit skeptical by this. How credible is the president's optimism on this?
Yeah, a lot of it skeptical from Ukraine. And I think President Trump is being both optimistic in saying that these two parties, Russia and Ukraine, are going to get together for direct negotiations. That's what he says is going to begin immediately. But he's also maybe showing a more realistic side in kind of lessening the U.S. role, because he had been saying on the campaign trail that he was going to end the war in Ukraine within 24 hours, right when he got into office. That, of course, has not happened, and it's proved to be a much thornier issue. And so by maybe stepping back a bit and saying, Ukraine and Russia, you need to have direct negotiations and figure it out, that's a little bit of a less optimistic take. And he even did say if they can't work it out, that the U.S. is probably going to kind of step back. So I think he thinks something can get done. Ukraine does not have any trust in Russia, and Russia has given no sign at this point of being willing to sign on to a ceasefire, of being willing to step off of its demands, and really not giving much of a sign that it's going to budge. All
right, Alice, really appreciate your insight. Thanks so much for joining us today. Former Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms has officially entered the race to become Georgia's next governor. Last month, she filed paperwork to set up her campaign committee that allows her to receive campaign contributions. This morning, she officially tossed her hat into the ring. She is joining a Democratic field that's still shaping up, still taking some shape here. State Senator Jon Estevez has announced his run for governor as well. On the Republican side, Georgia Attorney General Chris Carr has announced that he is also running for governor. The first steel beams of a new entertainment venue rose on a sprawling podium that's filling a historic hole in downtown Atlanta. Cosm has agreed to lease a space for at least $5 billion in Centennial Yards for a mixed-use project now under development. Here now to talk more about this is Corey Brenton, head of the venues. Thanks for joining us on the show, Corey. Good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
All right,
Pleasure to be here.
What is Cosm all about?
Cosm is the leading experiential media and immersive technology company redefining the way fans across the world will consume content. If you think about us, it's the world's greatest fan experience. Our goal is to transport fans to the best seats in the house every single time across NBA, NHL, NFL, SEC football, whatever that might be across sports, art, and entertainment, putting fans in the best seats every single time.
Sounds exciting. What will the experience be like when somebody comes to visit?
What we call it is shared reality. So it's taking the best of at home mixed with the best in venue. You think about that venue style experience, bringing people together for a common cause where you can celebrate and you high five, and that energy, that juice that you get when you're there live. That's what we're really looking to do, but balance that out with the best of at home. So an elevated food and beverage experience, very intimate, as we're only at 1,500 people. And the fact that I use Sunday, this coming Sunday, in both our LA and Dallas venues, which are now open as an example, we'll have an EPL Liverpool match in the morning, then transition to a Stars versus Oilers NHL playoff game, and then finally finish off the night with Knicks versus Pacers. And so you just can imagine the energy that will be there across all sports, art, and entertainment when you visit Cosm.
Absolutely. You mentioned Los Angeles and Dallas having a location. What makes Atlanta prime for that?
I mean, you guys already know the city of Atlanta, the fandom that exists across sports and art and entertainment. We think about, Centennial Yards, the district, being just adjacent to State Farm, Mercedes-Benz, Convention Center, one of the world's best, Georgia Aquarium, World of Coke, College Football Hall of Fame. I mean, bringing all that together, Centennial Yards is going to be one of the premier, if not the most premium entertainment districts in the world, hosting some of the most marquee events. I mean, you have FIFA World Cup, you have Super Bowl, you have NCAA football, championship games, et cetera. So we're just really excited to be adjacent to all those great facilities that already exist.
All right, you mentioned some of those big events coming here. What's the time it's slated to be finished? Will it be finished before the World Cup?
We're excited to be open prior to the World Cup and celebrate with fans across the globe. I mean, being in the Southeast, one of the premier destinations, we feel like the World Cup is a great sporting event coming to the U.S. So, yes, we're excited to be open prior to that.
Okay, all right, looking forward to it. Mention some of the food that's going to be there. Is it going to be something totally different that we haven't experienced before?
We like to lean into the Cosm signature items, but we also want to represent, the local. And I think being authentic and tailoring that menu to fit the Southeast, the state of Georgia, the city of Atlanta. I'm actually fortunate enough to have lived in Atlanta for 7 years, just off of North Ave, worked right across the street for the Atlanta Hawks. So I know what we need to bring to be authentic and genuine to the city of Atlanta, and we're excited to do that as well.
That means we're going to have lemon pepper wings. I dig it. I dig it.
Yes, indeed.
I will be there. Corey, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate the insight on the new venture. All right, folks.
Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it. Plenty more for you coming up, folks. This is The Take on 11 Live Plus. We're back right after this.
In Atlanta, Jon Shirek, 11Alive News. In Plains, Jon Shirek, 11Alive News. At Atlanta Police Headquarters, Jon Shirek, 11Alive News.
Our newsroom still mourning the loss of a legend right there. Our very own Jon Shirek, who's a gifted journalist and a kind soul who spent more than 4 decades telling stories here in the metro area. Jon passed away last month from glioblastoma, an aggressive, fast-moving form of brain cancer. But even in his final months, he and his family were sure to have his stories help others. 11 Alive's Caitlin Ross has been covering his legacy. Caitlin, thanks for being here this morning.
Absolutely, Chesley. May is Brain Tumor Awareness Month, and so his family really wanted to shine a light on this. This was a story the entire station came together on. Jon was a guiding light in our newsroom, and now he's lighting the way for so many others through his final wish.
Yeah, we understand that these final wishes were donations to honor him at the Piedmont Brain Tumor Center. That's the same place where he had treatment for his illness, right?
Yes, absolutely, and it's already having an impact. He's helping so many people. The donations are supporting underinsured patients, funding new treatments, and expanding support systems for families going through brain cancer. Yeah, and Jon's wife, Nancy, just said it perfectly. This was the right thing to do because it's what he would have wanted. He spent his life giving back, and now his legacy is continuing to do just that.
Every morning, I'd come in his room or his room at the hospital, and he'd say to me, without fail, "This is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it." And sometimes I'd look at him and think, how can you keep that faith? But it never wavered.
So you spoke to his wife, Nancy, and you also spoke to his doctor. What stood out to you about those conversations?
Well, it's one of the most aggressive and deadly brain cancer tumors, glioblastoma. It grows rapidly and often returns even after surgery, chemo, and radiation. Most people live just 12 to 15 months after diagnosis. That's why early detection, research, and comprehensive care are so critical. And that's exactly what the Piedmont Brain Tumor Center is working to provide, and that's all right here in Atlanta.
You know, the ability to do this here in Atlanta, the ability to offer, all of the cutting edge treatments and ensure that people are getting the best care possible, I think is paramount.
Is that the same care that Jon received?
Yes, Nancy talked about the incredible team that surrounded them. Doctors, social workers, support groups. They made sure they never felt alone. That's part of why Jon wanted to give back, so other families would feel that same comfort and support even in their darkest moments.
So he told many stories in his lifetime and 40 years here. And now this is a way that he's still telling a story through the people he's helping, right?
Exactly, and that's such a beautiful way to put it. Nancy said he created his legacy every day by being kind, faithful, and generous. Now his story is continuing at the Brain Tumor Center through the research being done, the care being provided, and the lives being touched, all in his name.
Wow, Caitlin, what's one of your fondest memories of Jon here in the newsroom?
Oh my gosh, I have such a great Jon story. I had just started in the newsroom and noticed right away that he always wore a suit and tie. It was just his signature look. He was very professional, always looked put together. And we were reporting on an alligator that had been spotted at a nature preserve in August. And so to get to the alligator, you had to walk like a mile and a half back in the heat. And so Jon walks back there with his tripod, his camera, his mic bag, a mile and a half in a suit. And we were doing the trade-off. So he was working day side, I was working night side, and I was on gator coverage. So I went to go trade off with him, and he insisted on helping me carry my gear in his suit all the way back to the gator and then walked all the way out. So that man must have walked 6 miles that day in a full suit in August in Atlanta. And that was just him. You know, he was so dedicated, he was so kind, and he was so generous in everything he did.
Good man, good man. His voice, I can still hear his voice.
I know, he has such a great voice.
Anytime I was down or anything, I could just turn to, if I saw Jon, I'd walk over to Jon and say, hey, Jon. And he'd say, hey, Chesley. How's everything going?
That's such a good impression. And it's legendary, right?
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah. We miss him dearly here in the newsroom. And thanks so much for telling this story. Such an important message during Brain Tumor Awareness Month, Caitlin. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
All right. If you would like to donate to Jon's honor, we posted a link to the Piedmont Brain Tumor Center on our website at 11alive.com. You can make your donations right there. All right. Don't go anywhere, folks. We're coming back right after this. All right, 11 Live weather impact alert for today, folks. Really tonight, we're expecting a line of showers and thunderstorms to roll through the area. You're looking at 9 p.m. tonight through about 3 a.m. Wednesday morning. So it's going to be an overnight system, which means a lot of us will be going to bed before those storms get in here. So make sure your alerts or your notifications are active on your phone. So if anything happens to turn severe, you will get those alerts right there on your phone, you know, to go down to your safe place. 90 degrees for the afternoon high. So before the storms get in here, we'll have the sunshine around, mostly sunny skies for much of the day. Again, 90 for the high. Behind the front, we're going to cool down. 84 degrees will be the afternoon high. Another front comes through, a dry one, and reinforces that cool shot of air. 81 degrees on Thursday under mostly sunny skies. Mostly sunny again on Friday with 77. That'll be the coolest day of the week. As we head into the holiday weekend, we'll start to rebound a bit. We should be in the low 80s this time of year, so it will be seasonal for your Sunday and Monday, but we'll have a chance for some rain around. You're looking at a 30% chance on Sunday. By Monday, we're at a 40% chance for some scattered showers and thunderstorms to be around, mainly during the afternoon. So if you got plans to be outside cooking out for the unofficial start to summer, make sure you pay attention to the forecast. All right, before we go, here's my final take, folks. Kids can now say or ask the question, can you tell me how to get to Sesame Street? That's because the 55-year-old show will be moving to Netflix. Yeah, with new episodes airing the same day and date back on PBS station, so it's for free. Look at that. That's good news for a show that was not being renewed by HBO and Max this year. And with federal cuts from the Trump administration, the show had to cut staff and face cancellation without a major source of funding. Netflix to the rescue. It's good to know that others value this important show that's been around as long as I've been alive, taught me how to say words and letters in English and Spanish, also taught me how to count. Ha, 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 ha. Those of you watching the show know what I mean. My kids also grew up watching this show and learned from the show as well. Thank you, Netflix. Really appreciate that. You know, Sesame Street is a must keep. It's an institution. And it's free, especially in a day and age where kids are growing up so fast. Let them sit down, sit back and learn their ABCs from Elmo, The Count, and Big Bird. That's all we have for you today, folks. Make sure you encourage someone today. Let them watch some Sesame Street and learn something. Make it a great day.